Come on up. Why don't you give him a little test, see if yours works.
Testing, testing. Oh,
Oh, hi, everybody.
There it is.
yay.
Thanks so much for coming out tonight.
Perfect. Perfection. I love it when things work. All right, so I guess we should jump into things. Andy, you need to test the mic out here. All right, perfect. Well, here we go, baby. So how many times have you seen the movie now?
So I've seen it about 4 to 5 times max. I've seen little clips here and there many, many times, and I feel like I've quoted the movie over the years probably 150 times.
Yeah.
But tonight we was catching a few scenes, and I don't know, there's a few people in the back that you guys were hilarious. You guys were cracking me up with everything you said. It was actually a really good crowd tonight, catching a few scenes in it. But I noticed, after many years taking it off, not watching it, the movie is like so bizarre that it draws you in because you can't believe these scenes were like committed to celluloid for what purpose. And it's something about it is really fascinating. The wardrobes, like the sex scene felt like it went on 12 and a half minutes tonight. But you guys were a great crowd. It was a lot of fun to listen to your commentary.
So my whole love of this film runs very, very deep back to the video store days when you could pass the tape around, So where does this fall for you as far as screenings? Like, I know you've been doing some drive-in screenings. Do you have a particular love for drive-ins?
Yeah, I've always loved drive-ins, and I haven't been able to go to many, and this is only like my second or third, and this was by far the best, by far the best crowd and the best setup and the best feel. And
Beep,
I mean,
beep.
you guys just do it up right here. There's like so much passion for film. I mean, just pulling in and seeing the van and all the posters and stuff. This is a drive-in. I think a lot of places have been converted and tried to turn into drive-ins, but this at heart is truly what a drive-in is. So this was such a perfect way to show the room with a packed crowd.
I love it. Do you have a past with drive-ins? Did you go as a kid? Any experiences
yeah,
at drive-ins?
I saw Nightmare on Elm Street as a kid, and that really scarred me in many ways.
That'll stick with you.
But also made me love horror. So I was very thankful, and I feel like seeing it at a drive-in was super cool because it really gave you that feel of what a horror movie should be.
Yeah, drives it home. Ironically, we just announced Freddy Fest 3 tonight. Yeah, we're the home of Freddy Fest. So we do want to open it up to you guys. We have anybody out there with questions? I don't have a light over there, so it's hard, or I have the light in my eyes, so it's hard to see who we got over there. All right, step on up.
So, Greg, I just want to let you know that we love the room. We've seen it probably 100 times now in theaters. But I just want to tell you how much we loved it. And we really loved Best Friends. But the big question is, when's Big Shark coming out?
So I think, what was funny when we made Best Friends, I wrote this script in like 4 days, and it was based off a true story that I took Tommy up the California coast, and he thought I was taking him up there to try to kill him. And so I was like, I'm just going to write a script based off that. What if I was trying to kill him? And so I wrote that script in 4 days. I approached him, and he's like, yeah, we can try to make project, but I'm sorry, I have one request. And I was like, great, here we go. And he's like, well, what about if you and I are same height in the movie? And so we had these platform heels made, and I thought, before we really go out and make a film, let's just see if it works. Let's take a couple days, shoot a few scenes, and see what happens. So we did that. We cut a teaser together. We released the teaser, and everyone thought, oh, wow, this movie's coming, but we hadn't made it yet. So then we went out and made the movie, and Tommy really liked that strategy. He's like, why don't we do for Shark, why don't we shoot trailer and release trailer? So we did like a day and a half in New Orleans, where shooting in a water tank, and it was really a brutal day and a half, just like being back in the room. And then he leaked that trailer, but unfortunately there's no shark. and there's no movie, just that trailer. So hopefully someday it gets made, but for now it's just a teaser.
Well,
Wow.
Fingers
Ultimate
crossed.
teaser.
Hopefully it's coming.
I love it. Great question.
Hey, Greg. I just wanted to know, what is your message for people who have never seen The Room who are about to see The Room?
I think just be prepared to have your life changed. You have really good friends if they brought you to see this movie, because it means they have a great sense of humor and they want to expand your cinematic horizon. So just, yeah, if you could just survive the first 15 minutes,
The fucking
you're going to be in
DVD.
great shape. So just try to stick with it.
Best girlfriend
and,
ever.
Really, it's going to change your life. And, you know, you're probably going to be asking a lot of your friends anyway, how's your sex life?
Thank you, Greg. You're the man.
Step right up. It's weird because we can't see them. They're totally faceless. It's kind
How
of
you doing
awesome
tonight,
and
sir?
creepy at the same time.
So, big fan. I'm sure many of us here have seen the movie of The Disaster Artist, and we all know there was a bunch. We've all seen like a bunch of the drama on set, but there's got to be some points where you guys were just like, "Oh man, this is amazing. We're actually making a movie." What is your favorite memory of being on the set of The Room?
I would say every day was unique, you know, because I knew Tommy, you know, as Tommy, and he's very free and he's crazy, and then you get him on a set and he's got to hit his mark, and he's just not used to those confines. So I knew he was going to give us something that was going to be insane, and he definitely delivered that. But I think it was sort of the scenes in the original script that I had read that were so out of touch, you know, with humanity, that when we got to film them, it was just so bizarre to see these actors try to bring them to life. So, for example, when we were shooting in the alley, and the guy comes up and like talks about the underwear, and then we play football randomly, and then he falls into the trash can. You know, that scene was so crazy to film, because in the script it's like Mark massages Mike's leg and like picks him up and like takes him to the hospital. And so, you know, we were filming that scene, we all tried to do it justice and play it real, but all of us were just trying our hardest not to laugh, and Tommy was taking it so seriously, and he's like, "My God, poor guy, he hurt himself." So it was moments like that where you could see this was like dead serious for him, and we were all just like, how do we get through this and play it as serious as possible? And that kind of went on with the tuxedo football, because it was Peter's last day filming, and instead of shooting the scene in which Peter shows up and catches Mark and Lisa cheating, where finally we have a moment in the movie that does make sense, instead we have a guy who walks in we've never seen before. We don't know why he's there, because Tommy elected to shoot the tuxedo football scene outside, you know, playing football in tuxedos, which, you know, again, is great. But yeah, one of the things with The Room, it's just those scenes that while you're making them seem so alien and so bizarre, but then they show up on screen and they get such a great reaction, like the flower shop scene, which was the very last thing we ever shot. We showed up to the flower shop, and Tommy's like, "Hey, I give you $20. We buy flour, we make movie inside. You play yourself. Good deal." And so we did that, and then we shot it a bunch of times, and then he looks at the dog and he's like, "My God, is it a real thing?" And then the last take, he's like, "Hi, doggy." So yeah, it was just the whole journey was something so insane you could never forget.
Thank you very much.
Absolutely.
Love that shirt.
Thank you. Thank you. This microphone's a little low. Hi. You're most known for The Room, obviously, but what's the work, film-wise, that you're proudest of, or that you're...
I think for me, probably the work that I'm proudest of is the Disaster Artist book, because it's really the first time I ever fully had creative control over a project. You know, we signed a book deal with Simon & Schuster. They kind of said, "Do your thing and we'll see what we think." And so I decided, instead of writing a book just about the making of a bad movie, you know, covering that, I thought, there's a way deeper story here, and I kind of studied, Hollywood stories like Ed Wood, Sunset Boulevard, Boogie Nights, and I thought that's what this story could be. You have larger-than-life characters, you have all these people with sincere intentions that come into a situation that is so outlandish and so insane that challenges all of us, and I thought that's the way to do it. This could be a movie, this could be a good movie about the making of a bad movie, and I thought that was really the challenge that I wanted to take on, and for it to have worked the way that it did, I think that's probably what I'm most proud of. And what's great is it was a great exercise in creativity, and now I've kind of gone on to make, my own films, learning from that experience.
Thank you.
Hello. So I know how you were saying how like The Room is a movie like we all came to see because it's just one of those things that when you see it, it just draws you in. What's a movie that you've seen that you've told your friends to go see that's drawn you in? Like, what should we see that we haven't seen before? Something goofy.
You know what? That's a great question. You need to come back here because they're going to be showing Back to the Future 1 through 3.
Well, we know that's a fantastic one, but what's something that's like
weird,
like a weird movie that you would say to us like, you have to see this movie?
That's good. Good question. I would say Johnny Suede. It's a 1991 movie with Tom DeSillo did it. He did Living in Oblivion. He kind of went for a David Lynch thing. You got Brad Pitt with like a huge pompadour, and he's chasing a like suede shoe. There's so much awkwardness in it. Samuel Jackson shows up for a 6-second cameo in a basement playing a saxophone. They start arguing about like carrots and stuff. It's just like, it was like Brad Pitt's room. It was the room for Brad Pitt. I thought after seeing that, he may not get. He has like a pet iguana that's like walking on his head. Johnny Suede. Check it out. I used to watch that to give me hope when I was 19. I recorded it on VHS off the TV, and I would like fast forward it and watch it. So that was really my movie that I used to watch. And Catherine Keener's in it too.
Well, I never heard that till now, so I'm checking it out.
Right on.
Thanks, man.
That's a great one. I gotta say it because I remember this film, and it's almost like a fever dream. Like one of those movies you'd watch at parties at high school. A movie called The Search for One-Eyed Jimmy. I don't know if this thing. Wow, really? So it does exist. So I'm gonna toss that out there. I know that question wasn't for me, but it just got my brain going. Step right up.
Hi. I just wanted to thank you for doing this, and my question is, what is the strangest encounter you've ever had with a fan of this movie?
For the most part, everyone's been incredible. Over the years, everyone is really appreciative, and look, we all love movies, that's why we're here. I tried to be in them, you guys support them, and so everyone's really been phenomenal. I've signed some weird things. I've signed foreheads. I've had my signature tattooed on somebody's arm. But I think that's all with love. Nothing's really. It's been a few weird stories that I've actually written some scripts about. So maybe that'll be the best way to explain that. But for the most part, everyone's been really tremendous.
Thank you.
Hello.
Hi.
Thank you for doing this. I just had a question. Well, first off, I was the one who asked for the hug. And I was just wondering what your advice would be for somebody who is about to audition for a show. What kind of advice you would say to them if they were nervous to audition for?
Ooh, that's a great question. So when you go in for an audition, there's no reason to be nervous because those casting people want you to be the one. Because if you're the one, it makes their job way easier. So you really need to go into that room with the attitude is, I'm going to have so much fun, and I'm going to show them something they haven't seen. And so I'm not a great auditioner, but in the few times that I have gotten parts, I eavesdropped into the person going in before me, and I'd listen in to their casting, and I'd hear them go, and the thing I said to myself, I could totally give something better than that. And it was almost like a pep talk to myself. Because when you see something done wrong, it shows you what you shouldn't do, and then you go in with a more bolder choice. So really go in there with a bold choice and go in there to have fun because you can't control anything other than that.
Thank you.
Be the one, girl. You got an audition?
Yeah, I'm auditioning for Rocky Horror this weekend.
Oh, you rock. You got this.
You got it.
You got
Thank
this.
you.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, honestly, the casting that I've seen there that rocks. People come in, they're confident, and they've got a choice, and it's original, and they're having fun while they're doing it.
Thank you so much.
Thank you. But don't wear your Tommy Wiseau jacket on this one.
Hi. John says hi. Beyond that, I guess we all have points in our life where we've done something that at the time we maybe weren't proud of or didn't know what to think of it. And I just want to know, after you filmed The Room and it released, what did you do with yourself, and how did you?
How did I do
through
what?
That?
What was the last thing you said? How did I what?
How did you process that film and having made it?
So I never expected really anything from this movie. It was almost like me helping out a friend make a home video.
Okay.
So when that was done, it was just sort of relieving to have, some normal time and kind of get back to just normal life. And then we had the premiere, and the premiere was pretty insane because Tommy hired a publicist to fill the theater with a packed house who thought they were getting the next Streetcar Named Desire. Like, the hype was, hey, the new Ragin' Cajun from New Orleans made an incredible Tennessee Williams drama. And so it's like, oh no. So I sit in this packed theater and people start laughing when the logos come on. And so I'm like, oh, this is going to be awkward. And it's not that I was like embarrassed or whatever. I had seen it with my family. We had laughed about it. I thought that was going to be it. So I left about a few minutes in before my sex scene came on. And I hung out in the lobby, and then people started walking out, and they're like, oh man, I'll never get hard again. And so people walked out, and then I kind of crept back in. I saw the laughter, and that was really it. I didn't think anything would come of it. I thought, hey, Tommy made the movie, he released it, life goes on. And it was just something that I was so surprised, and genuinely surprised in a good way, that film students loved it so much, comedians started to love it, and then it became something that people like Rocky Horror, people had a fascination with, and it became a cult. And to me, that's what cinema is really about. I mean, you hope to make something that, has merit, like a Back to the Future, like we were talking about, but there's something about this movie that attracts people in a different way. And at the end of the day, when you make films, you hope for that response. And for me, all these years later, it's been 19 years since we filmed it. I mean, what more can you ask for, a work that you've done that people still want to watch all these years later? And at some point, you got to ask yourself, is it really that terrible of a film that, all the movies that came out in 2003, not a lot of them people are talking about, but there's something about this movie that did something that, gets people's attention. And I think that's something that really to pay attention to.
Well, thank you for coming out tonight, and I think it's one of the best movies ever. So I appreciate that you guys.
Thank you.
Love it. So beautifully put. Anybody else out there in the darkness? I see you. There you go.
There is a line, I'm afraid. Hey. So, Greg, is there something that really was not funny at the time that you can laugh pretty hard about now? And honestly, how have you learned to kind of laugh at the absurdity of all this? Because if we believe the book and the movie adaptation and all the stories you tell, it was a pretty tough thing. So how have you learned to laugh about it over the years?
I'd say the hardest part for me making The Room was my personal life at the time, because I was, on the outs with my girlfriend, and it was like The Room sort of represented our breakup, and it was a very touchy time. And I remember before we were going to San Francisco to film those scenes, the establishing shots, I broke up with my girlfriend that night. And I remember personally I felt a lot of guilt, and it was like, I took on this thing of The Room, and I disappeared, and I felt like I was really responsible at that. And when I went to go see Tommy that night, instead of consoling me, he's like, why don't we shoot scene about your breakup? This is a good idea. So that was the whole, anyway, how's your sex life? That was that whole coffee shop was two guys talking about a breakup, and that's what it became. But now I can look back on that and laugh because everyone quotes anyway, how's your sex life? And if I didn't break up with my girlfriend at that time, we wouldn't have that. So, you know, kind of symbolic in a way. And, you know, certain days were tense, but, you know, it wasn't my responsibility. I mean, I was helping keep the movie going, and I wanted, you know, for Tommy, I wanted it to keep finishing. But, you know, the pressure wasn't on me in that sense to have that. So there was never a point where I was so desperate or, you know, scared or frustrated because, you know, unlike the Disaster Artist adaptation, I didn't really want to be in the room. So once I kind of went along for the ride, it was something that I was sort of observing and taking in versus really wanting this thing to be successful. It was almost just like an observation of a very insane time in my life. And I was at an age where those kind of things are interesting. So for me, I look back and I've learned a ton about, you know, a lot of times we try to fit in and be part of this show or that show or be with these people. And one thing I learned with Tommy is once he saw he didn't fit in, he's like, I'm going to do it my way. And by doing it his way, he found a voice in a movie that people can't recreate. And that's why I think the movie's still around, and that's something that's powerful for me to try to find my voice in what I do.
That's phenomenal. Thanks, Greg.
Thank you.
Hey, Greg. First of all, my two friends, Sean and Garrett, say hi from over in their universities. But also, I wanted to ask you, one, how much involvement did you really have in the creation of the Disaster Artist? And two, how do you feel about Dave Franco's portrayal of you?
So Disaster Artist was really it was great because they were such a fan of the book. You know, James Franco, he had never seen The Room. He read the book first and you know, really fell in love with the story. And so I had so many pictures and behind the scenes images and stuff. So I worked really closely with the production team. It was great. It was a production team that did This Is the End and a lot of those great films and Pineapple Express. And it was just really great to work with such pros and give them all the material and then show up on set and see how they recreated everything. So I learned a lot in that process, and it was really cool. I'd go to set, you know, whenever I could. I went, you know, the day Bryan Cranston was filming and Sharon Stone, and it was really like expensive therapy to go see your story recreated with all these people you grew up watching. And then I remember I told Sharon Stone, I was like, have you seen The Room? And she's like, oh yes, I have. It's phenomenal. And then I realized she saw Room. And I just didn't say anything. I was like, yeah, thank you. Awesome. And Dave Franco is, he, you know, we have a lot in common. We both, you know, came in under the shadow of someone else trying to be an actor and putting our heart and soul into projects that we thought were going to work and didn't. And, you know, he saw The Room alone in his hotel room and thought, this is very different. But it was great. I thought the whole experience, you know, with the cast and, you know, not a lot of books get turned into movies that quick, and I was very grateful that it happened.
That's awesome. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
What an experience. Step right up.
Hey, Greg. I was wondering, do you and Tommy, like, do you text a lot, or do you guys talk, or, like, hang out often?
Almost every other day there's some sort of, you know, follow-up or something. You know, it's going on 23 years. So it's pretty insane, this journey that we've gone on, and yeah, I mean, it's sort of like family at this point, just like The Room. Although we haven't tossed the football around in quite a while, we've kind of shifted over to basketball now.
Nice. Thanks. I had one more question, if that's all right. I was wondering if I don't know if this ever happened, but you guys ever like think about doing like a room festival, or you have like a multiple day thing and you show like, you know, all your guys' movies together, and
like a Roomapalooza?
Yeah, something like that.
Yeah, maybe the 20-year anniversary we should
I like this programming angle here.
We should do that. You know, because I got like that documentary you guys watched, I got so much behind the scenes footage. You know, that was just 25 minutes, and we, you know, obviously we did the extended Best Friends 1 and 2, and so yeah, we'll do something special for the 20-year anniversary.
We would love to see it, I'm sure. So.
Well done, sir.
Thank you.
Played. Well played. Anybody else out there in the darkness? Yeah, girl.
Hello. Thank you so much for being here. So not film related, your last meal with no stipulations, like if you have an allergy or like a adhesion to something, what's your last meal gonna be?
I'm gonna go with a pepperoni pizza with a side of ranch.
Nice.
A Caesar salad is. Can I have an appetizer?
Yeah. Oh my gosh. Yeah. No stipulations.
Caesar salad and order a calamari.
Nice.
And for dessert, I'm gonna go with the tiramisu.
Yes. I love it. I
So
feel like
maybe
you've
I'll do
thought
that
about this
tomorrow.
before.
Do my
It
last
may be my
meal
last. Hey,
tomorrow.
you gotta treat each day as if it's your last. So
Absolutely.
What would be your last meal?
I knew this was coming. So
I love
it
this
would
lady.
just be like the biggest ice cream bar of all time
Nice.
with every topping, every sauce.
That's dessert.
Yeah, it just.
But you don't want
Yeah.
a meal?
It's the way to do it, though.
I thought about this a lot, and it would be tacos because it's very versatile.
That's good.
You know, you can have anything you want in there, all the sauces
Shrimp
as well.
tacos.
So yeah, tacos, and then the biggest ice cream bar of all time.
I love it. Yeah, my backup plan would be a steak quesadilla.
Nice, love
Rock
it.
and
Let's just
roll.
hope we got plenty of days left so we don't have to decide.
Exactly.
True.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Great tattoos, by the way.
Thank you.
Yeah. I see you back there. Step on up.
I love
Hey.
this lady.
Hey Greg, what's up? So my biggest question is, what is the biggest discrepancy in your opinion between Disaster Artist the movie and real life?
I think the book was just a lot darker. You know, I think Tommy and I are so different in every possible way, and the book doesn't shy away from that. You know, it's like
Gotcha.
technically we should have been friends, but we were connected because it's acting class, and then there's a lot of, you know, the age difference, the control, and there's just a lot of tension. You know, for example, one person that read the book that didn't really know me, that had just met me, thought like, I wanted to call you to make sure you weren't killed.
Shit.
No, there's just a lot of conflict, and so I thought with the movie, Greg kind of looked up to Tommy and was like a cheerleader, like, I want to be in this, I want to do this, but I think that was just to show more of a highlight on friendship for people that didn't know the room, and I think it's a lot more accessible, you know, if the film went about that way. So yeah, I think the book was just a lot more, you know, raw.
Well, thank you so much for coming out. It's kind of a surprise to hear from you that he actually wasn't Greg Age, but I really appreciate you being here. Thank you so much.
Of course, thank you.
Anyone else? Last shot. Well, this has been a treat, my friend. A true treat.
Most
Right,
definitely.
guys? Give it up for him.
Beep, beep, beep. Beep, 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 beep. Beep, beep.
This is a match made in heaven, this film at the Mahoning Drive-In Theater. But let's talk about your new project. You have a trailer to show everybody.
Yeah, so for the past year and a half, I've always been obsessed with cults, and I feel like that's what we are. We're a cult. And, you know, and going deeper into, like, you know, Charles Manson and Jim Jones, I've always been very intrigued by that, and I decided to couple that with my obsession with, like, horror films, 70s horror, Halloween, The Hills Have Eyes, and I thought, that's
Right
my
up our
next
alley.
thing. I want to go make a horror film. And so I moved to Arizona. I lived in the middle of nowhere, wrote a script, shot a film there, and it was one of the most exciting experiences I've ever had. And actually, we were the very first film to shoot at Falling Water here in Pennsylvania. So there's some Pennsylvania love. And so, yeah, we got a minute teaser. The film's coming out next year. We're going to be going to festivals next month for Halloween, and so we got a little surprise to show you guys.
Yeah, so I'm going to jump up. Since Andy had to take off, I'm going to be the one running this. So I told you on your way in, the Mahoning Drive-In Theater is known for their late-night secret features. How often has this film played for an audience?
So we did a test screening in New York, and it was great surprise. It's like I said, it's if you like 70s horror, Texas Chainsaw Massacre, it's right up your alley. But you know, speaking of the Mahoning, it's such a special vibe. It's almost Halloween season, and I talked with Virgil, and we're like, you know what, if you champs want to stay out and watch this movie and be one of the first audiences to see it, we're going to let you guys do that.
All right, you heard it from the man himself. I'm going to play the trailer. If you're intrigued, you stick around because we're going to play the whole feature for you guys. Life is good.
We're not going home.